Hello everyone, Debabrata once again, and today I'm planning to take a class on array. So without giving my introduction, I will prefer to go through the links available in the detailed section of this video. So you can just go through that and so that I can directly jump into the topic of array. So as we have completed the for loop thing, and from the very first class, I was saying like for loop is the most important thing. So as we have ended that, so I will be going into some new topic that is array, and that is not important like for loop, because in array, if you are not able to solve the programs of array, that means you will be weak in array. That is not linked to any other further chapters. Means if you are weak in array, you there is means no meaning there will be an effect on function, there will be an effect on string, on recursion. There is no relations with array. So it is a one individual chapter. But what happened in for loop, if you are weak in for loop, you will be weak in all further topics. So that's why for loop was important. But now let's concentrate in array, because array is a vast topic. It is not important and not logical like for loop, I will say, but it will be vast because we have many things to do in array, and we can face multiple programs of array in your exam, in your interview round. So obviously we have to cover this up, and it is something important, obviously. Now in array, as a prerequisite, I can suggest that whatever we have done, just revise those logic, revise those for and if, all those things, and I think that will be enough. And obviously you have to practice all those things. So by whatever I'll be showing today, so you have to practice. So that's important. So in array, basically we do not have many things. Array is very simple. Array with for loop, we have many things. Okay, so again, for loop is more important. I'll be showing you what do you mean by array. Okay, so array is just I'm not going through the theoretical definition. So there are many things in theoretical definition, so I'll be not saying those. It will be readily available in Google. When I go and take interviews, I have asked this question: what is array? So many people I saw, they are giving some theoretical definitions, but they do not understand what is the meaning of actual array. Array is nothing but few variables. Let me give you some examples where we can play with multiple variables. Like this question: enter the temperature of 7 days and print the average. So if I say you what will be the solution, people will start solving the program with using array, because I am taking today the class of array. But that is not important. Means it can be solved without any program. Any program can be solved without using array as well. Okay, so let me show you how can we solve this question. Like enter the temperature of 7 days and print the average. We have already done that. Probably if you are following the exercise I have suggested, probably you have already done that. So let me show you how we can solve that without using array. So first we need to understand why we should use the array. So first let me solve this online compiler for you. You can use any of the compilers. Just let me know if you are facing any issues with the programs. Okay, so just try to first print the hello world. If it is getting printed, I think everything else will be solved. But still, if you're facing any problem, hello world you cannot print, or hi hello something you are trying to print and it is not printing, then just let me know. For the time being, online compiler is the easiest one. You can use any online compiler. So you can use any. So let me run enter temperatures, something like that, and slash n. And let me introduce 7 different variables to hold 7 days temperature. So let me use T1, temperature 2, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, and T7. Of course, 7 variables I'll be requiring. And to take input, obviously, I need to take 7 temperatures one by one in scanf. So either you can use a single scanf, but I will prefer to use multiple scanf. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, so T2. So input part is done. So they are asking for the average. So first I can derive the sum. So it will be again that simple. And it is a part of our chapter 1. We can do this. We can solve this program after solving the chapter 1 itself. So So the average is, I can simply write sum by 7. So let me not. I'll be showing you all possible ways. It is not like that we are learning array. So we means because it is in our syllabus. We have to understand what are the other approaches, why we are using the array. Just concentrate on that. So let me introduce some temperatures like 10 degrees, say 11 degree, 12 degrees, suppose 12 again, 9 degrees someday, suddenly 8 degree, and last day 11. I am taking integer, so in on average it is giving the average temperature is 10, but it will be more good if I can use something in float. But anyway, that is not my purpose to show you the data types, how it behaves, but it is giving the result. So this approach can be achieved after learning the chapter 1. I am not using any if, I'm not using any for loops. But if you want, you can use the for loop as well. Instead of taking multiple scanf function, or taking the numbers, means inputting those separately, or writing the sum in this way, we can simply use the for loop. How? Let me delete that. Let me simply write for int I, in not int here, I equals to 1, I less than equals to 7. So I'm just showing you the approach of for loop. Then the advantage is we do not need to take those variables, only t will be enough. How can? So just in the for loop, just take input of t. So if I take the input of t only, and I can simply write sum equals to sum plus t, and I guess that will be enough. We do not need to write this line as well. And you can simply, by using one variable only, you can take the all the inputs and you can print the average. You do not need even to remember all 7 variables. You will be just taking the input from the user and calculating the sum. Again, taking the input in the same variable and calculating the sum. You do not need to remember anything. So let me show you this program as well. Suppose let's move to some tropical countries, and okay, let me, the temperature will be there around say 30, 35, something like that. So 31, 32. I really like the topic of geographies. So the temperatures I'm entering for some tropical countries, it will be pretty higher. And here you can see the average becomes 31. And this time I am doing the same program using for loop, and you can concentrate on the variable. Now, today's class, all the concentration should be the variable and their namings. So here you can see I can only take one variable called t. I do not need to take multiple variables like t1, t2, t3 like that. Only t will be enough. So that's all. We do not need to take array always. If it is needed only, then we need to take that. So now, in the second question, if we need to understand why we use single dimension array. So array is basically named as single dimension array as well. So either you can call it array or single dimension array, anything. So now the question, if the question comes like this, enter the temperature of 7 days and print the average, the same thing, and then print the temperature again. So after printing the average, so the requirement is to print the temperature once again. But in this approach, we are not remembering the temperatures, because we are not storing the temperatures anywhere. We are just taking the input in the same variable t. After taking the input in the same variable t, we are just forgetting. and we are just doing sum equals to sum plus t. So after printing average in this position, if anyone asks like, okay, bring back the temperatures once again, just print it back in the screen. So I will not be able to do that because I haven't stored those numbers anywhere. I have not used 7 different variables to hold those numbers. So that will be something tough for me. I cannot do that. Before printing the average, it is still possible, but after printing the average, I was just forgetting the values. So in that case, we have to go back to our previous program. Let me just do quickly. I'm just doing Control Z. I think that will be enough. Yeah. So that is the program I have to return, and here I can solve this program using I can print. After printing the average, I can simply print all 7 temperatures. So I can print first if the temperatures are, so if it is the requirement to print the temperature once again, so I can print right temperatures are percentage d t1, and I can repeat this step simply. Okay, percentage d, I can put some space if needed. Sorry, why don't we, the semicolon will be outside. So now this time I have to take 7 different variables, and you can see I'm not able to take the advantage of the for loop because I'm writing the same line. The printing some variables is the same thing. So why should I repeat the steps? Here I'm giving you the same very simple example, but in the real time it might be something complicated, and we need to repeat the same steps multiple times. So now if someone says I need to do these steps for 1 year, user will be giving the input. User do not have any problem to give the input 365 times. But as a programmer, why should I write so many lines? I know there is something called for loop in C language. So why should I repeat those lines manually? User can give the input. It is his software, it is his or her application. He or she can do anything. But for me, why should I write multiple lines like this? Now if anyone asks like 365 days, I'm not able to do that because I need to write many lines in there. So in that case, okay, let me first run this programming. So here the main thing is, let's move into some Middle East countries where the temperatures are something like this in summer, say, or even more than that. So let me give something like this. So the average is 42, and they are printing the temperatures once again. So that was the extra requirement for this question number 2, print the temperatures again. But I can see I'm not able to take the advantage of the for loop, but whereas I I could take that advantage in the question number 1. So to take that advantage of the for loop, because it is still possible for 7 days, but it is means it is just, it will be very tough to write all those lines. It is annoying as well to write the same line multiple times for 365 times. If anyone is asking for the a whole year input, the user can give, but why should I write 365 lines multiple times for printing, for scanning? I cannot write the name like 365 variables here. So that is annoying. And to avoid that thing, the array comes into the picture. So array is optional. I saw many people are using array here and there. So if you feel that all the variables should be hold somewhere, should be stored somewhere, like in that situation, you have to use the array. Like in this example, in the question number 1, it is simply asking for the average. So why should I store all the variables, all the values into the array? So array means the same line, means you are writing here T1, T2, T3, something like that. I can write something like T7. It means T, the variable name T can hold 7 different variables. So the naming convention should be same. Now, when I was a student, I had a question, why should I do that? That naming was pretty fine. So here, whenever you are writing like T7, it will be creating 7 variables with the same name. just their okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So just their positions are different. Here we have 7 variables. So the naming conventions means that the name T is unique, but the variable names are T0, T1, T2, T3, kind of that. So these are the just the positions T2, T3. So these means these are few variables whose name is same. That's the thing. Array is nothing but like this. Many people says many things, but that is array. That is array. We have 7 different variables with the same name. I have asked many people. I got the answer like I told them like, okay, can I print the third variable? That is the name of that is T2. I heard the question like, okay, I have to use a for loop. I have to use this. I have to use this. No, array is just 7 variables with the same name. I have shown you the programs earlier. I have already done that. Even in my screen as well. Till now, you can see how I have handled 7 variables. So if I make it into array, it will be simply like T0. Simply like it is simply 7 different variables that you can access single-handedly as well. If I need to print the third variable, only print this line, only print T2. It is just a variable. It is not linked with others. It is not like if you want to print third variable, you have to print all others. You have to use a for loop always. It is not like that. Array is simply 7 different variables or 10 different variables as per the requirement with the same name. Here I'm using the same name, just it is the indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of that. That's the indexing. So same here you can use. So you can just simply write T0, T1, something like that. So you just have one thing to learn in array, that array starts from 0. And believe me, when if you try the exercise to solve, you will face the same problem multiple times. When I used to check the exercise of my students, I saw the common mistakes they made, like array, they always starts is from 1 or some other value. But you have to remember throughout your journey, array starts from 0. Array starts from 0. And I'll be repeating these lines couple of times in today's class as well, because it is a common mistake people do. And believe me, in array, we do not have to learn any other technical things. Now, whatever I will tell you in the rest of the classes on array, it will be like array with for loop. Array with for loop. But array is that's all. We do not have anything more to learn in array. Believe me. Okay, if you have, you can ping me in the chat or anything like that. Some theoretical topics might be there, but to work to for the interviews and for the exams, we just need this thing. Okay, so this is the concept of array. Now I will show you some examples where an array can be used, like selection sort, bubble sort, stack, queue, all those things are there. But conceptually, technically, array is this much. Array is just a 7 variables. Let me run that. So if I come back to some suppose European area, and let me input some of the values again of the 7 days temperature. It is saying the average is 12. The temperatures are this, and this. So the same problem I can solve in starting programming. I can solve it using a for loop. I can solve using the array as well. So you have to understand why I should use array. So now if I give a pause and if I ask, are you really able to understand the meaning of array? Just I'm giving a pause. Just say it to yourself, or you can even just comment in the comment section as well. So most of the people I have heard in my classes, like, yes, I got the answer why I should use the array. But believe me, if your answer is yes, I think you have not understand that thing. Because now, again, I will be saying, why should I use array? The previous solution was far better. Here I am using some variables which looks like zombie, which looks like some aliens. So why should I use this approach? The previous approaches were pretty good. Yeah, if I cannot use for loop, It is fine. We can use that simple variables that looks like T1, T2, T3, T4, T4, T6, T7. Now, why should I move into this approach? So it is not helping me out. It is not, I'm not getting any advantage. So array is this much. So array is just a 7 variables with this typical name T third bracket 0. But why should I use that? It looks like zombie. So previous variables were fine. So if your answer is no, then I think you are able to understand something. We are not getting any advantage of using array. So why should I learn a new chapter? So the answer is here, if you use these variables, you can simply use a for loop here that you are not able to use with the normal variables, because normal variable names was T1, T2, something like that. But if you use this approach, I can simply write I will be starting from 0. I will be iterating from until 6. Why 6? We have 7 variables because the same line I will iterate multiple times. Like array starts from 0. You have to remember that many people do mistakes. Many people, means it is not exceptional thing. Most of the people does do some mistakes on this part. So you have to remember array starts from 0. So obviously, then it will be ended at 6. Even here I can see the last variable is T6. So, okay, let me do that. I equals to I plus 1. And here inside the bracket, I do not need to write multiple lines. And that is the advantage if you use array with for loop. But if you ask me, is there any other technical topics in array? I will say no. If you have anything, if you know something, just write it in the comment section that, okay, these are those big things we have not covered in array. Array is just a variables, just a few variables with the same name. That's all. So now what I'm doing, I'm taking the advantage of the for loop. Everywhere I will be taking the advantage of for loop. So here, I will not write all the variables one by one. If anyone is asking for 1 year's temperature, so should I write all those variables? No. I will just write sum equals to 0, and I will just simply write for the same loop. Let me copy and paste. I do not write to I do not like to write much. So let me use this for loop, and simply you can write sum equals to, means every time whatever the variables are there, I'm trying to store their values inside the sum. Something like 3-step rule, but yeah, I do not need to remember that part. So I will simply write here Ti. Here as well, I will write Ti. So what will happen? So first, when a for loop will be started, so it will be like I will be 0, then I will be 1, then I will be 2, and I will be simultaneously getting those variables T0, T1, T2, T3. It is not possible for the normal variables because normal variables look like this T1. So if I write Ti, computer will not be able to understand this I is something like an index. So if I write this I in this way, then computer will be able to understand, okay, I means the position of I. But if I write this in for loop, they will think Ti is a variable name as a whole. They will not able to understand like I will be something else. So they will think Ti is a variable name, and they will not be able to find that in the program, and they will be giving some error like we are not able to find the variable Ti. So that will be the problem. That's why we have to shift into array. That you need to understand. Now I'm getting the advantage. Now if anyone asks like, okay, I need to take the temperature of 365 days, I will simply write here 364. Why 364? Because array starts from 0. I'll be saying that again and again and again. Okay, so you have to remember that. Many people make some mistakes here. So I look from programmer sent, I do not have anything to do. I have just written 364, so it will iterate 365 times. So here as well, I can write 364. So I programmer sent, it will be simple. Now the user might need to give the input 365 times anyhow. He or she has to give the input like that much of time because they are looking for a software which can take 365 days input, and in return they can calculate the average. So obviously they have to give the input, but why should I make some, means give some effort into this program? So for me, it will be that simple. If I write 364 here, that's all. But again, back to the program. for this program, we are dealing with 7 days temperature. So I'll be writing 6. Why 6? Because array starts from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But remember, on the first, I have to declare 7 because I am dealing with 7 variables in reality. But the variable names, when it comes to the variable names, so it will be T0, T1, T2, T3, something. And it is the declaration. This line, the highlighted line, is just the declaration where I'm declaring like I'll be playing with 7 variables. And here, this is the original variables. The variable names are T0, T1, T2 kind of. Okay, until T6. So hope this is clear. If not, you can still tell me that into the comment section. So even if we are doing the class, offline classes or online classes, you can tell me in the classes as well. So anyway, so what I'm doing now, so rather printing all those variables one by one, I'm just writing ti. That's all, I guess. So let me run the program for you, the approach with the array. So temperatures, let me come back to India. So 335, 36, suppose 34, 33, 32 someday, suddenly it dropped to suppose 28 for some rainy season or something like that. And let me like 32. So something like that. So the average is 32. The temperatures are this and this. Got it. So that is why we should use array to take the advantage of the for loop. Otherwise, array is just a collection of variables. So array, we do not have much things to learn in array, but array with for loop, yes, we have many things to do. So again, as I have said on the very first class, for loop is the most important chapter. But again, array has some topics that we need to cover, obviously with for loop or with if. So let's see what are the topics we have. So we have to learn 2 topics in this tutorial, and those are not that tough. So I will start with basic array activities, where I will try to deal with some basic array operations. Like it can be asked during the interviews or during the uh, exam question paper. So it will be that simple, like enter n numbers and find the average. So in this case, they are saying like enter n numbers. User will be given that thing. So I will not say like it will be 7 days, it will be something days. So in that case, user will be giving the input. But there is one disadvantage of array in language C. Like we have to define a number. So here either we have to define a number like 50, and after that I have to print something like uh, enter the number of elements. Because in the program it is asking, it will be asking for n numbers and find the average. So I'll be writing enter the number of elements. User will be giving some choice like, okay, I want to deal with 5 numbers, or I want to deal with uh, n numbers. So whatever it is, I'll be taking that inside n. Just a minute. Yeah, inside n. So let me define a new variable n, and all the numbers in, not I will say enter temperatures. I'm not dealing with temperatures. So I can write something like enter numbers or enter elements, exact elements. So here, instead of 6, what will be the answer? I'm giving a pause, just think, or pause the video itself, just think what will be the answer here. If we are dealing with n numbers, I don't know what is the value of n. It might be 5, it might be 10. So what I can write here. So if we are dealing with n numbers, so the last value will be n minus 1. Why n minus 1? Again, the same answer, because array starts from 0. We have already seen that in the previous program, we are dealing with 7 numbers. So the last number was 6 because it is starting from 0. So it is ending at 6. So here as well, if anyone dealing with n numbers, we have to end it up at n minus 1 position. So everything else will be same. The calculation of sum will be same. But here I cannot write the temperature. Okay, it is not asking for printing the things back. So you can see I can solve it in this way. Okay, here I have to make some changes. Instead of 6, it will be n minus 1. And in case of average, it will be sum by n. So if I run, so these approaches can also be, okay, let me input some number. Okay, let me choose some number. So I'm telling like, okay, I'll be dealing with 5 numbers this time. So 5 numbers are 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So you can see the average is 30. And yeah, that is true. Okay, so that's a program art. But the one thing to catch here, I have declared 50 at first. Many people in many compilers, they allow to write this thing. But believe me, this is nothing as per the convention. You might face some error. Suppose you are giving the exams in some different compilers, and from the very first class you are practicing in this way, and suddenly you are saying like, okay, it is giving error, and it is pretty much expected. So you have to be very cautious. Like in C, we cannot write something that dynamically like this. So we have some approach like dynamic memory allocation that we will learn later. Using calloc and malloc, we can make the array dynamic. But for the time being, these words I am using, so you might feel as it is like a Hebrew word. So do not need to concentrate that, and do not write in this way. For the time being, you can take a safe array positions like 50 positions you can take, and you can play with that. Now, obviously, the reverse question can come like, what will happen if I want to, if user gives input like 51, or if user gives the input like 100? We have 50 places. So yeah, that is a risk, I will say, for the time being. But yeah, we will solve this risk later as well. Okay, but for the time being, take that risk. Try to play with 50. If you think 50 is not enough, you can write 100. If you feel 100 is not enough, write 500. But for the time being, my concentration will be to make you comfortable with the array operations using for loop. If once you become comfortable with all the array operations, then we can play with these positions, with this dynamic uh, means array declarations. We will play with that. But for the time being, we have just ended the for loop, so we have to be comfortable with the array operations. We have to understand there is nothing much in the array. Even there is not, means not even much even in array. Everything we have is the for loop logic. So here we are declaring 50 variables, but all the time we are using only first n values from 0 to n minus 1. Every time we are just accessing the first 5 variables here. The 5 variables are T0, T1, T2, T3, T4. The rest of the places I'm not using, because user has made a wish that he or she wants to work with 5 variables only. That's why we are only taking the 5 variables always. I'm not touching the 6 variable even. You can see in all the loops, I'm just iterating from 0 to n minus 1. You just need to, in array, you just need to remember just one thing: array starts from 0. That's all. So if I go forward, and if I try to check the next question, it is like enter n numbers and print it reversely. Reversely means, suppose if someone wants to play with 5 numbers, and if he or she enters like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I just need to print it in the reverse way. Do not need to make it actually reverse. We just need to print it in reverse way. So we need to be comfortable with the array variables. So obviously here I can take like enter the number of elements, the input lines will be same. So now instead of calculating the sum on those things, I can simply print it like the reverse is simply write for loop. I can write a for loop once again. So for loop will be everywhere. So as I'm printing from the back, so my value will be starting from n minus 1. And I can write I greater than 0, I equals to I minus 1. So every time I was going forward like 0 to n minus 1. But this time I'm going backward from n minus 1 to 0 I am doing, because I have to print it in reversely. Simply. So I can write printf %d. I can give a space or whatever you can give. I can print not a, it will be the name of the array is t. So ti. That's all. So if I run, so I can play with 3 variables, suppose 10, 20, and 30. So it will print it in reverse way 30, 20, 10. Okay. In array, you can do another thing as well. You can suppose write 3 and you can write 10, 20, 30. You can input the elements using spaces as well. In C language, we can take the input in three ways. Either you can use space or enter or tab, but I cannot use tab here. Tab means you can see a button in your keyboard called tab. So you can use that as well. But as I'm doing in online compiler, tab will move your control to some other buttons. So, but if you are using some installed compiler in your machine, you can use tab as well. Okay. So again, but let's concentrate on the topic. So what I have done, I have user has declared to work with three variables. So everything, the variables names are T0, T1, T2. So if anyone asks to print it in reverse way, so obviously you can print first the T2. You can even write in this way as well. The last element is T2. You can write simply like that. But again, it is user is saying n variables, so n might be 3, n might be 5, anything. So what I'm doing, I'm using a for loop. Instead of printing it one by one, I'm just writing first. User is playing with three variables, so n will be 3. So I'm just printing n minus 1, that is 2. And from that way, in reverse way, till the value is 0, becomes 0. So at the last position, it will be T0. So from n minus 1 to 0, I'm printing. And I am already using this loops from the very starting. Every time it is in forward order, means 0 to n minus 1 in each program. Even you can see in this program itself, at the time of taking input using scanf, I'm just taking in a forward order. It is 0 to n minus 1. But as the question suggests, I need to find the reverse one. So I need to use n minus 1 to 0. That's the thing. Okay, you can play it with the 5 variables as well. So that means whenever it will be printing, it will be starting from 4. Then 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, something like that. If I play with 5 variables, then I can input anytime using spaces as well. It is not required to input always with enter. So you can see it is being printed in the reverse order. Yeah, very simple thing. You just need to be confident with the variable names. That's all. An array means variables with the same name. That's all. Enter n numbers and search value. So again, the same thing. So now this time I have to take another extra input to find, means to take the input of the number. So I can write that I will search. So I can write enter the value you want to search. So I can write scanf %d, and I can take a variable like val that I'm going to search. So let me introduce val in the program as well. Yeah. So val will be searched in the array with all the variables. I will check, okay, can I find this? Can I find this? Something like that. Again, as usual, it will be iterated from 0 to n minus 1. And in this program, I have checked the solution like this. If AI equals to val, whenever it is like AI equals to val, people are printing like found. And if it is not like means AI equals to val, suppose it is not, then people are printing not found. So that is not a good approach to write. But I have seen this a couple of times with many people. I have seen these programs. They are trying to approach this one. So what is happening? Let me tell you first. First, I am taking the input as usual. I'm trying to search. Suppose anyone has given the input like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And now someone wants to search 40 here. So I need that 40 is present. If the input is 40, I should get an output like found. If anyone gives like 45, he or she will be finding the output as not found. I'm looking for some program like this. So now, if I want to find 40, let's see what happens. Because I have told you this program is not good. So, okay, I have written AI. So you can use any name, but for the timing, our array is defined as T. So generally in my program, I use a variable name as a. It is much comfortable to use a for array. But yeah, you can use any name. So I am entering 5 variables. You can see 5 values. Now it is asking for a value that I want to search in the array. It happens in our phone number as well. We store all of our phone numbers in our phone. We do not know how Android is storing those numbers. Is it an array or is it something else? But still, suppose if I want to search some number, I want to call my mom, suppose, or one of my friends. So I have to just write that name there and it will be automatically searched. If that name is not present there, it will be saying like not found. The same thing I want to do here as well. So I'm trying to search 40. And if I enter that, you can find it is not giving the desired result because it will be saying not found, not found, not found, found, and not found. Why it is happening? So every time I'm just telling my decision. So first position, it is 40 is not found. In the first position, we have 10. So I'm checking, is it 40? The answer is given by the compiler like no, it is not 40. So it is printing not found. Again, is it 40? It is saying no, not found. Is it 14? 40? It is saying no, not found. So that's why I'm getting 3 not found. So it is what we are doing, it is early comment. We shouldn't comment early. We have to wait till the last. If if it is not present in any of the position, then I will comment like, okay, it is not found. So what I need to do here, like something like we have used in for loop application programming, prime number checking, we have to hold our breath till the end. We have to check if it is really not present or present. So we have to wait till the end. So if ti equals to val anytime, I will move, I will change the value of f equals to 1. You can use a bracket, you can break the for loop as well, but I'm not going into that direction. If it is found, I'm changing the value to 1. So after the loop, I will not do some early comment. After the loop, I will wait till the loop ends. After the loop, I will check if f equals to 1. If the value of f changes, it will be found. I will confidently print found. And if the value of f is still 0, I will print not found. So that will be my approach. So if I run, so I'm dealing with 5 numbers, suppose 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So it will be saying, I will print 40. So it will say found. 40 is present. But if I do the same thing with, if I want to search something else, like if I want to search 45, it will say not found. So we cannot comment early inside the for loop itself. We have to wait until the loop ends. If it is found somewhere, even in the last position as well, I will change the variable value from 0 to 1. And after the loop, I just need to check if it is 1 or 0. If it is 1, that means somehow it is got changed inside the for loop. That means value is present. So I will print found. And if it's still 0, the value from the starting, if it still holds the starting value as 0, I will just print not found, like it is not there in the array. So that's the thing. Even sometimes this question is being asked in the exams or in the interview rounds as linear search. This program is being called as linear search as well. You just need to remember the name. It is just the searching. That's all. So if I go further, like enter n numbers and find the maximum. So again, we can do the same, like, okay, I do not need to take the input here. So I can define something like max, and I can take the maximum number as T0. We do the same thing. We have done this kind of program. Probably you have faced that in for loop application if you solve the exercise. So it is something like I will be telling you, suppose 10 numbers. So let's start. Suppose 70, 50, 40. So what is in your mind? If I'm going to ask the maximum number, so obviously your answer will be 70. So that's why I'm taking max as the first variable. You can use a single variable like this, but I have seen most of the people are not confident, like array is, like we can use array without for loop. Yeah, we can use array without for loop. You have to just confident it is array is nothing but few variables with the same name, but you can access those variables individually as well. It looks like zombie, but yeah, you can use, of course. But for getting the advantage, we use for loop. For loop is not mandatory. For getting the advantage, we use for loop. So now I can browse through the array and I can check if any other variables inside the array, if it is greater than max or not. If it is greater than max, then I will simply write max equals to ti. I mean, if I start telling you 10 numbers like 70, 50, 40, then 60, then 100, then 20, then 30. So now if I pause and if I ask you back what is in your mind, you will be saying 100. Why? The same thing we are doing in our subconscious mind, in our brain, we using the same thing. We are doing the same thing. Like whenever I'm getting something bigger than max, I am just putting that value inside max. So previous max was 70, which was the starting value. But in between, if I get something bigger than 70, I'm just storing that value inside max. So here 100 is greater than 70. I'm storing 100 inside max. So that's that much simple. And if you have already covered the for loop things, we can do these kind of things using for loop as well. So I can write the max is percentage d. So I can simply write max. So if I run the program, just check. So suppose I want to delete again 5 numbers, 10, 20, 30, suppose 25 and 15. So obviously 30 should be printed here. So you can see max is 30. If you want, you made some small changes as well. If you do not wish to start with the first variable, because we have already considered first variable as the max, you can start from the second variable as well. That is one. Okay. So I need to put that comfortability into your brain so that you cannot think like, okay, array is the tough topics. Believe me, array is not a tough topic. You do not have anything to learn in array, just using the for loop. If you are strong in for loop, it will not be a problem for you. Okay. Many people says like, okay, array we have this, we have that, but believe me, it is nothing like that. So again, now it is asking, enter two arrays. Is it the last question? Yeah, it is the last question. Sorry. Enter two arrays and store the sum into the third one. It is pretty much simple. We have to deal with two set of numbers. So I can write enter the number of elements. Okay, and here let me move into A. Let me change the name. Then you will be also comfortable like, okay, we can use several names. Okay, it is not like we have to take always T. So let me take two variables, two arrays A and B. So let me take input into the first array. It is A. I can write enter the elements of first array. Practice all those programs. Put my screen on hold and practice all those programs in your compiler as well. It is not like an online course that you have to go through and you'll be able to learn everything. You have to solve these programs. So enter the elements of the second array. And it might take some time because it happens with me as well. I'm a slow learner. I have tried 2 years to learn swimming, but I couldn't learn. So I'm really a slow learner. In case of bike, in case of driving, I saw many people, many of my friends do that by 15 days. And after that, they are going for 100 kilometer or 200 kilometer ride. Believe me, they are super smart. For me, it always takes time. I don't know why, always. So, okay, I'm simultaneously typing the program as well. It is asking for to get the sum and stored into the third one. So that means something like they're asking for, they will be giving some input like this, and they'll be giving some input like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the sum, they want to store it to some other array, something like this. So obviously we have taken the first input inside the A variable, A array. Second input we have taken into the B array. So the sum I'm planning to take into the C array. So I need to declare another array, that is C. So input has been taken, I can see. Using the same loop, I can write CI. You can change the name as well if you feel so. But the approach is something like this. CI equals to AI plus BI. That's all. So if it is working, I can print them back simply. I can write like the sum. Sorry, where I'm writing. Sum is something like, and I will print it here, the variables from the C array. That's all. So I can write printf percentage C spaces CI. That's all, I guess. So if I run, I'm just printing the CI array, and only one thing to remember, it is n-1. I'm telling this from the very first program. So 5 elements, suppose let me insert 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 for the first element. For the second, I can input 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So as a result, it will give the sum is 11, 12, 22, 33, 45, 55. That's all, nothing much, nothing much. So that's all for the topic 1, and we have done some basic things here. So I hope you will face some challenges in the exercises as well. So if you are not able to solve that, let me know. So on the topic 2, it will be a pretty quicker one. So someone might tell you that, okay, I want to shift some places to the right. I mean to say, suppose you are dealing with a 5 size array that is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and they want to move it into the right. Means 10 will move into one place, 10 will move. Okay, let me put that original array, and here 10 will be placed into this place, 20 will be moved into uh, one side right, so 20 will move here, 30 will move here, 40 will move here, and 50 will come back here. So one position right, you can see everyone shifted one position to the right. You can see onto that direction. It might be asked onto the left, onto the some other parts as well. But for the timing, we have to be confident with this approach. So here you can see the movements are happening in initially into the 4 positions. Means 40 is coming to this position. First, we need to move 40 here. Otherwise, the value of 40 will be lost. Means I mean to say, if I move, suppose, let me explain this again, the approach. So if I do something like, first 10 will come here, so we are losing the value of 20. Look, at this position, we do not have any value of 20. Okay, so that's the thing I'm just worried on. So what I need to do, first I need to move 40 here. So even if I do the same, the value of 50 is lost. So we have to hold the value of 50 somewhere here into 10. So 40 is being moved one position to the right. So in that case, we are not losing anything. So 30, I will move it here. After the 20, I will move it here. So 10, I will move it here. And at last, 50 that was on hold, I will put it into the first position. So very simple thing. First, take a backup of the last variable and then do a move like this, starting from the end. Okay. Otherwise, there is a high chances that we will be losing something, losing some values. So I can do something like this. The 4 movements. So I can write like from 40 means from n-2 to 0, all those variables will be shifted to the next position. Okay, so first let me do that. Just try to understand and try to play with the array and have some confidence on that as well. So I can first input the array elements, enter the elements, enter elements. I think array and all those things we do not need to remember. So anyway, I do not need this. I do not need this. Fine enough. So enter the elements. I'm taking input inside A. I do not need probably B and C. So the first step, what was the first step? You can check here. I have to take the backup into some variable, the last value. So what is the last value? Last value is obviously A n-1. Obviously, whatever the value of n is given by the user, it might be 5, it might be 10 variables he or she wants to work with. So whatever it is, last value is n-1. We know that because array starts from 0 once again. So I'm writing temp equals to a n-1. I'm taking the last value. So after that, I have to start it from here, and that is if the last position is n minus 1. Just listen carefully, we are at the very end. We will be just solving one or two more programs, that's all, and that will be simple. So just for try to concentrate. I know it is tough, but still. So it is starting from 40. That means it is second last position. Last position is n minus 1. So the second last position will be n minus 2, obviously. So that's why I will be starting from n minus 2. And it will be reached to 0 every time. Okay, it will be I equals to I minus 1 because it will be decreasing. And what I will be doing for these four positions, they will be just copied into the next position. That's all. So I mean to say AI will be copied into AI plus 1. So I can write a statement like AI plus 1 equals to AI. So all the variables will be moved to the next position. And as a last step, what I need to do, in the first place, I will move the 10. Because once everyone is moved to the next position, I have to put this 50 into the first position. And that exactly I am doing here. The first variable is A0. And believe me, most of the people do not have any idea like we can use the variables in this way. It is not mandatory that we have to use for loop always. It is just for the help. For loop is just doing the help, but it is not mandatory. Okay, so I can simply write A0 equals to temp, and I think it will work. So let me print the array. So three steps. First, take the backup of the last variable, move everyone one side right, and after that on the first position, put the backup. So I can simply write after shifting, it looks like, suppose. So what I will do, I will simply print this in a forward way, I0 to in minus 1, I equals to I plus 1. And if you are printing printf percentage d, I think it will print in a correct order. I can see everyone moved into one side right. So if I want to deal with 5 number once again, you can see it is 50, 10, 20, 30 kind of that. Got it? You have to be very confident. It doesn't matter. The values doesn't matter. I can play with 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 as well. You just need to remember the positions. The value might be anything, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. But the positions, they are here. It is A0. Means in short, I can write 0. It is 1. It is in 2 position. Means A2. It is in 3. Means A3. It is in 4. Means A4. So if we are dealing with if n equals to 5, so the second last number will be 3, the position. It might be 400 as well. It will work with 400 as well, but value doesn't matter. Okay, let me do the same program using like this. Instead of 40, I can write 4,000 and then 50. The program will be same because I'm considering, you can see everyone shifted one place right. So we are just considering the positions. Value doesn't matter. If we have 400 or 4,000, it doesn't matter. So first, I am taking the backup of this value, this position, whatever the value it has. A4, I'm taking the backup of that. From third position to this position 0, I'm just moving them out one position to the right. And on the 0 position, I am putting whatever the backup I have taken. So same thing I'm doing here. If you are understanding this thing like array starts from 0 and all, I think you are able to understand the concept of the array. And you are among the means rarest persons. It is not very easy to understand this thing. Okay, because everyone concentrated on the value, but here in this chapter we will concentrate on the positions. Okay, so that's the thing. Do not make it tough. People are saying array is this, array is that. So I will say like no. If you have something more technical, like if we have many more things to learn in array, you can show me, but we do not have. We just need to check the applications, and that can be achieved by for loop itself. So now if anyone asking for the two places shift, so obviously if we are confident enough on for loop, if you know the for loop well, you do not need to take the tension. So what I will do, I will do this thing. And if users wants to make it happen for the multiple times, he or she can do that as well. I can just increase the count of this loop. So here I'm just executing that 2 times. The same activities, I am just doing that 2 times. That's all. So I just need to introduce a variable like count. But you can see, I'm just using the same thing. I have not touched that part. I have just put a for loop at the top of that. Okay, and we have done the couple of things the same in the for loop. Again, if you are strong in for loop, you do not need to think that. If you have done the exercise, we have done some programs like print the prime numbers from 100 to 200. So in that program as well, you need to write the logic of prime number, and on the top of that, you have to place a for loop. So same here. On the place of that, I need this activity to happen for 2 times. So if you want it for 3 times, you can write it 3 here as well. But for the time being, as the question suggests in the slide, it has to be 2 times. So let me show you how it works. 5 variables, and I can write something like that. And you can see 10 shifted 2 position, 20 shifted 2 positions, and accordingly. I hope you got it. So the last program for the day is something like enter a value into a sorted array. Okay, so sorry, something is missing here. Okay, no, it is asking for enter a value into a sorted array. Means okay, something is sorted, like okay, we are using the sorted order from the very starting. So okay, we can use, it is not mandatory we have to use the values means in the sorted order, because what people do, people just always make it tough unnecessarily. So do not start thinking that in array we have to give something in sorted order. We can use any input. We can play with 4 elements as well, and elements can be 40, 20, 33, 20, 37. So I'm not using those values because it might create some confusion. It might give some headache. Means at least I take headache when I deal with 33, 72, 79, 83. It is pretty much simple for me if I take the values like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And in array, we do not need to concentrate on the value itself. It is the position we need to concentrate. So now in this position, they are asking the values are sorted. So they are focusing on the values, not even the particular values. They are saying it will be in a sorted order, means in the ascending. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 means the value will, means gradually it will increase. Now, if anyone tries to input 35 or if anyone tries to input 25, it should be inserted somewhere here. So how you can insert that? So that is the ask. So what I will do, I will obviously enter the elements and those things. Let me insert a new value. Let me give a name like val. So enter the elements you want to insert, and that is the last program. So you can hold your breath and you can check this. Enter the element you want to insert, suppose. So obviously for loop is not needed. I will take just one input inside val, something like that. The val, I will take the input. And now, okay, do not need this thing. Okay, I think after inserting, I have to print it. After inserting, it looks like below. Okay, that is something different. So first I have to insert the val here somehow. So you can see it is 50. So first I have to check if I'm trying to insert, you have to consider, you have to think example. So 25 I'm thinking, I have to insert that. So 50 is greater than 25. So 50 will move one position. 40 is greater than 25. So 40 will move into this position. So something like that. So let me do this. Let me write this in this position, like for I equals to, I will start from n minus 1, and I greater than equals to 0. Obviously, I will go till the end. I equals to I minus 1. So what will I do? If ai greater than val, I will move that. If it is greater than val, I will move that into the next position. Ai plus 1 equals to ai. Else, what will happen? Let me check. So 40 will move here. So 30 is greater than 25. 30 will also move here. So 20 is greater than 25. Answer is no. So on the next position, I have to enter 25. In which position I will receive no, on the next position I have to enter the value. So else I am receiving like no, I have to insert something like ai plus 1 equals to value. So that thinking is important, and after that I can break. After that I can break. I do not need to continue this loop. We are done. If I place the 25 into the correct position, when I'm thinking the example with 25, you can think any, but by thinking that example, you have to write the code. So here, if you can understand, we have, as we are inserting one value, then the size of the array should increase. So it should be n equals to n plus 1 as well. Because previously we are dealing with 5. Now, if we are inserting something, it will be 6. So if I try to print the elements with the same limit, it will not work. We have to increase the limit. So I'm just increasing like n equals to n plus 1. So just let me check if it is working or not. 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I want to insert, suppose, let me try something different. 35, I want to insert. So yeah, it is inserted successfully. So what is happening? 50 is greater than 35. So I am moving 50 one position right. 40 is greater than 35. So I'm moving 41 position right. Now 30 is not greater than 35. So I'm just holding here and I'm just inserting 35 into the next position and I'm just clicking on break. So that means loop is done. So after that, obviously, we are dealing with 5 variables. Now we are dealing with 6 variables because we are inserting one new variable. And that's why we need to increase the value of n. Previously, n was 5. Now I will say the value of n will be 6. Okay, because we have inserted one new number. And again, yeah, I'll be printing the array. And that's all, I guess. I hope you got this idea. If not, just let me know in the comment section. I'll be taking a look. I will try to make you understand in some other way. I will try. But for the time being, that's all for this class. Just you can go through these materials, the exercise and everything. You can see it here. Whatever, everything will be available here, and our exercise will be available in our Facebook group. You know from where it can be fetched. If not, let me know. You can just find these links. And in array, actually, the exercise was not shorted. Means in the array exercise is not in a good manner in the Facebook album. So if you face some problem to find the exercise of array, just ping me in the comment section. I will try to send you some PDF files or something. If it can be attached in the comment section, I can attach that. If not, I will send that personally to your mail ID. So that's all for the day. Just practice all those things and must practice the exercise. That is needed. That is mandatory. Okay. So bye for the day. We will meet again once again with some new chapter. Bye.